If you're tired of not making progress and you're ready to be the artist you know you're meant to be, you're in the right place. You're listening to the Singer's Path podcast. The Path, or Performing Artists Training Hub, will cover everything, including singing tips that actually work, advice from top industry professionals, and life-changing mindset shifts. Out with the starving artist and in with the thriving artist. I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, professional singer, actor, educator, and entrepreneur. I'm not afraid to speak the truth and stop the gatekeeping of quality information so you can actually become the artist you dream of being. So let's get on the path, shall we? Even though we're all on our own journeys, it always helps to have a guide.
Hello, and welcome back to the Singer's Path podcast. We're doing something a little new today in which I am actually filming myself doing this, especially for my YouTube babies, so that you can now pretend like you're sitting with me. Again, we are in the process of making this setup a little bit nicer for everybody involved. So expect that hopefully over time we will be building this set and have a nicer camera and all of this. Right now you were just, tuning in from me filming on my phone. But I'm really excited about this space. If you can actually see it, we're building up my basement to be an office space and more or less a kind of a film studio in a sense, so that I can bring you guys things where you can actually see me talk and know that I'm a real person. And it will also be helpful, especially as we do more technical videos, so that you can see my mouth actually moving and all of that. I also want to point out, Amanda was giving me some feedback, our audio editor here, and she says that I say a lot, or at least I did on the last 4 podcast episodes. I'm going to be so for real, guys. On the last 4 podcast episodes, I was so tired. I was insane. I tried to batch like 6 podcast episodes back to back like a psychopath. So yeah, that's why I sound like I'm slurring my words and you can't even understand what I'm saying. So I was listening back and I was like, yeah, we're gonna have to probably redo those. But if you have heard those, you're a real one and appreciate you, and sorry that they were so unhinged. And now we're back and here we are. So it's February when this is being released. I am taking a week off to actually give more episodes to Amanda. So you should be getting this a little bit earlier in the month, hopefully, depending on what she's able to do here. And today we're going to talk all about something that I know a lot of voice teachers have questions on. And also a lot of beginning singers in particular, or any singers that have just really struggled with confidence around their voice. And the subject today is how to improve pitch and stay in tune. Okay? So I'm going to approach this conversation through a couple different lenses, one of which will be through the student's lens and then also through a teacher lens. And so while we're talking about this subject of pitch, I want to start to paint the picture for you as if you were being handed a piece of music and your stomach drops. And not because the piece is hard necessarily, but because you're honestly embarrassed. You're not really sure if you're going to hit all of the right notes. Most people think that singing on pitch is actually a talent that you either have or you don't. And that's actually not true, right? There's a lot of misconceptions about singing, and pitch is one of the biggest ones. So the truth is that learning to sing on pitch is actually a neurological skill. And it has to do with your brain and physical connection. So we've all heard about tone deafness, right? True tone deafness, which is called amusia, affects only about 1% of people. One of the biggest signs, actually, of amusia, because if you're like, well, what's 1%? That's 1 out of 100 people. How do I know if I'm amusic? Well, amusic people don't even enjoy music at all, and they wouldn't even want to learn to sing. So if you've always wanted to learn to sing, your brain is capable of learning pitch because you actually don't have the medical condition called amusia if you want to sing to begin with. So that's why I'm so excited to tell you today on the podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, you guys are always the first to know about sales that are going on and promotions that are going on. So to keep this short, I just want to let you know the course and the program that goes in depth and actually teaches people to match on pitch that I've created, called Pitch and Musician, is actually on sale right now until February 22nd. Again, Pitch and Musician is a step-by-step system that retrains pitch memory through repetition, sensation, and awareness, starting with the easiest part of the voice. This isn't about vocal technique in this particular course. It's about creating the foundation, the neurological foundation that makes studying technique possible. Because the truth is, if you don't have good pitch to begin with, you're going to have a really hard time studying vocal technique. So just who is this for? Just so you know, it's for beginner singers who've been quietly carrying the dream of singing for years and just feel like total imposters and that it's not possible for them. It's for the singers who've taken lessons and who are still labeled as pitchy and they're really not sure why. And it's for the actors, dancers, and honestly, teachers who are tired of guessing or even teaching in the dark, teaching students that honestly just don't know how to make progress, right? So that's frustrating for voice teachers, and it's definitely frustrating for actors and dancers who were told they have to have this completely new skill of singing to get work or get jobs that they want, and there's no one actually teaching them the true foundation of matching pitch if they weren't born with that skill. So again, right now, Pitch and Musician, which is the course that literally trains your brain and your body to match pitch consistently, along with other musicianship skills like music theory, other things that you would need. Right now, it's 30% off. So just use code PITCH30 if pitch has been something that's been holding you back. So let's actually work towards a solution to fixing that. So that's the spiel. That's letting you know that what I'm about to go into detail. If you listen to this episode and you're like, yeah, that sounds like something I need, just know it's on sale right now. Don't wait until February 22nd. Like, go. It's severely discounted, like by a lot, and it would be kind of silly to not take advantage of that. So I always like to just say that off the bat, that that's what's happening, and that's how we're going to dive into pitch right now. So here are some actual ways to truly improve pitch. I'm going to give you for free. I know we go into so much depth and it actually trains you in the course, but I mean, you're here to learn this today. So I also want to make sure that we're giving you actual information that's of quality. So first off the bat, I've done a lot of research on this. I actually started teaching pitch rather intuitively when I kind of was put in a position where I had to. And then over time, I got really good at it and was starting to see results with students that were insane. And actually, if you go to the Pitch and Musician website, you can see some videos of that. Like, there's video proof of people's improvement. And I was like, there's something here. And at the time, like, people weren't really talking about how you can improve pitch. And in fact, I've even uploaded other videos on YouTube, and people don't like when I say that this is possible for people. I don't know why. They'd rather stay attached to the story that it's not possible. They'd rather have an excuse made for them than to learn that you can do the work to learn to sing on pitch. Now, I will be transparent. The work to learn to sing on pitch is redundant and repetitive and not the most fun thing in the world, and it takes time. And I think a lot of people hear that and they go, well, then it's not easy. Like, if it's not automatic and there's not a quick fix, then I don't want to do it, right? It might be that, or it might be old school people that just don't understand that there's new research on this. And one thing that I think is interesting is that there's some more famous voice teachers now, 5 years after I've made this course, that are coming out and saying this is a thing. And I'm like, that's cool. I guess now that you're saying it, I guess it's a real thing. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Other voice teachers now are reading the research, and you really can. Okay, you really can learn to sing in tune. Like I said earlier, true tone deafness is actually a medical condition called amusia. Okay, so it's really rare, and the biggest indication about amusia is that people that have that condition don't even like music. So again, if you like music, you probably don't have amusia, okay? So let's talk about now some of the key things that I've learned by working with hundreds of students and teaching people to sing on pitch and in the development of creating Pitch and Musician, which, by the way, was at one point called Pitch Please, but we had some trademarking issues. So TMTM, Pitch and Musician. I'm going to also talk about the 4 levels of people that would need to do pitch work and who would benefit from this. So let's first start with the things that really get in the way, like if I'm talking to a teacher or someone that has struggled with matching pitch for a long time. So the number one thing as a teacher helping someone that has pitch issues or a person that struggles singing on pitch and is an unavoidable part of this process is identifying what kind of stories you have in your head about your relationship to singing. I hate to say, but the subconscious and the nervous system have a lot to do with singing, especially if you're learning to train your brain in a way that's going to train it to match pitch, that physical brain connection to sing on pitch more accurately. Those subconscious stories, if you hold them, such as, oh, singing's impossible for me, or I'm a terrible singer, or I'd never be a singer, or I'd be so embarrassed to sing. Anything that's lying in the shadows like that is going to sabotage your ability to grow. And until you square away with your relationship to your voice and you start to accept like, hey, right now I might not be singing the way that I want to, but it is possible for me. I can get better. I can show up and do the work, and my voice will improve over time. The more that you can get on board with changing the stories you have around your voice and around pitch for that matter, the faster you will grow. Okay. And sometimes, when we're doing like affirmations, like say, your current story is, I can't sing on pitch and I'm a terrible singer, right? It's going to be a 180 to be like, I'm an excellent singer. So some of the stories around our voice will be changed slowly over time as we're finding more evidence and proof that doing the functional work, like doing something like Pitch and Musician, is giving you evidence that it is working. So then it feels less like you're lying to yourself when you're trying to tell yourself a new subconscious story or reprogram in a new subconscious story around your voice, when you are actionably doing the work. So that's something else to keep in mind as far as like, okay, well, right now the story is I hate my voice and I can't sing on pitch. So how do you expect me to like lie to myself and say that my voice is good when it's not? It's like, no, it's a slow process. But if you were to get Pitch and Musician, or you were to work with a teacher that could help you work with pitch, that is an inevitable part that comes up for every level of singer. So to pretend like it doesn't matter or it's not part of learning to sing, I think is actually a disservice. And I feel like I'm one of the few teachers that's actually talking about that, but it's really appropriate to talk about it here, as doing this pitch memory and this work is going to involve your story around your voice. And if you're telling yourself a self-fulfilling prophecy that you sound like shit and you can never learn to sing well, so it is, girl. So it is. The next thing that I would tell a teacher, right? So if you have a student, I would ask them what their story is around their voice and maybe prompt them to do some investigative work around, do we have to hold that belief? Is that belief necessarily true? Does it have to be fact, right? The next thing that I would tell teachers or anyone that is either guiding someone to learn pitch or wants to learn pitch themselves is that moving very slow is really important. Now, when I was mentioning like you can learn to sing on pitch, I didn't say it was the most fun thing to do in the whole entire world because it's a bit tedious. You have to move really slow. And you also need some kind of visual or in-person guide that is going to be directing you whether you're on pitch or not, right? So whether that's an app, that's a tuner, that's working with another person that has a better ear, you're working with a piano. A lot of times people don't understand where they are with the pitch. They don't understand if they're flat or sharp or whatever. So you need some kind of reference point, and you need to move really slowly so you can start to physically memorize where pitches are. Okay, so whether you're leading someone through exercises or you are the person that's trying to learn the exercise, knowing going into it, it is going to be a slow process because you're literally creating new neural pathways and physical connection and memory to your voice. Okay, that is based on the research, that is based on the type of practice that's necessary for this to actually work. Okay, so if I was talking to a teacher, it would be to move slow. Like, it's going to be a slow movement between notes in lessons. Do not give them difficult scales. Like you might be repeating the same notes over and over again. The other thing I would say is don't, either as the singer or as the teacher, don't push the singer outside of their speaking range. Okay, we're going to talk about the different levels of people who will benefit from doing work like this. But most of the time, the first place you need to start is in the chest voice. So if you're a singer listening to this, in your speaking range. If you're a teacher, do not take them into their first passaggio. Do not take them, if they're a female voice, above A4 or a male voice around E4. Do not do that, because that's just going to put them in their head. All of a sudden, the notes are really high and hard, right? When we're focusing on pitch, we want to make sure that it's the easiest area of the voice so that their brain can completely focus on just the pitch itself. And so since most people talk in the lower end of their voice, that's going to help to not overwhelm them and have to think about too many things and distract them from just thinking about literally just the pitch itself, okay? The other thing that I will say, either training it in or working with the teacher, is that repetition is really important, and repeating it physically, again, while you're being guided with some kind of reference that you are hitting the right pitch. You need to repeat what it feels like. You need to start getting your body on board with understanding the physical nuance of what it means to be on pitch versus going sharp versus going flat. Okay, so it's going to take a lot of repetition and a lot of practice. I hate to say, again, this is not like the most fun, easiest of tasks, but it is possible. And repetition is 100% a non-negotiable part of that. The final key tip that I will give to educators who are helping someone learn to pitch, or a singer who isn't confident singing on pitch, is instead of like playing and listening to a piano and trying to match the piano, someone that needs to be helped with pitch responds better to a voice. So the brain will be able to pick up the pitch accuracy better when it's a vocal demonstration of the pitch. So for a teacher, and again, this is maybe another reason why teachers have a hard time doing this, is it is going to require you to actually sing back to the student so their brain has an easier time mirroring what it sounds like in the voice. Now, another important part is if it's a male student learning to pitch, it's easier if you have a male teacher reflecting that voice part back. If you're a female singer, born female, right? Having a female born singer or a higher voice, replicating the pitches is going to be easier for their brain to pick up if they're hitting the right pitch or not, right? Their brain is going to be able to decipher that the pitch accuracy better. And that's the neuroscience. That's the brain being able to mirror what's happening faster. Okay. Now, again, if say you are a female born teacher and you have a male student, again, that's another reason to get pitch and musician, because it comes with all of the tracks pre-recorded with voices so that the person can practice on their own their same voice type, right? So that's one of the benefits, is really having that same, male versus female tone reflected back so that their brain can hear it easier, right? You pounding on the piano as a teacher, like sing here on the piano. My piano's not even on, sorry. That having them listen to the piano is actually making it a little bit harder, unless you could just vocally demonstrate it and they're going to find it a lot faster. So to pivot now into the types of singers who will benefit at different levels, again, from doing something like pitch and musician, or, just spending time working on the precision of pitch. And I broke it down into 4 levels, and I have my notes here so that I don't ADHD into a tornado away from here. Okay. So the first one is the difference between pitchiness and like just not being pitch accurate at all. Okay. You will understand how much time the student or you as a singer needs to spend on something like pitch and musician based on like, are you pitchy just sometimes, or do you really not know where you are when you're hearing a song and you start, right? Sometimes singers actually don't have that much of a pitch issue. It's like a confidence issue. Like I said back with the stories, they get overwhelmed by hearing accompaniment or singing in front of other people. And so there's a nervous system or subconscious response. Maybe they had a really bad experience with it before, and then their brain, it's just too overstimulating for them to sing with music or to harmonize or anything like that. They would also benefit from something like pitch and musician, but they might just move through it faster. So as an educator, right, using something like pitch and musician, you might just need to spend less time on the repetition, and it might just become about them being just the confidence element of like, hey, I've shown myself I can match the pitch consistently. Oh, I have evidence, like I'm actually not that pitchy. Okay, I got it. Like that's a main group of people that primarily benefit from this course, is being a teacher and like having something that you can walk them through that will like actually legitimately get to them to that level of confidence. But say they're not just pitchy, like they like literally can't hit the pitch at all. You're a singer and you get that piece of music, or you listening to the song and you're like, I have no idea where I am. I have no idea if I'm hitting the right notes. I'm just going. Like I have no idea. That can bring up embarrassment. That can bring up a lot of different emotions for the singer. And then a lot of the times they'll just tell themselves it's not in the cards for them. But then most of the time there's something inside of them that's like, oh, I just really wish that I could. Right. And that's where a lot of the singers came to me, was they were just trying to prove to themselves that it was possible for them to learn. So anyway, if it's someone that like literally can't sing on pitch at all, pitch and musician will help and is made for them, right? Anyone that has maybe been told that they're tone deaf before, but you have to understand, either as the educator or as the singer who's purchasing the course, just know that it takes time. Right? It takes time. It takes the repetition that I said. You have to go slow, and it's a bit tedious, but it will improve over time, because remember, you were literally reprogramming your brain and doing that pitch to physical to brain connection here. And it takes time to develop that muscle memory, or pitch memory in this case. Okay. So that's the first level of people that will benefit. And they will definitely come out feeling way more confident, just really good about themselves, and not questioning whether they're hitting the right note or not. Okay. The second one, again, is they're maybe a little bit pitchy. They're not really that confident. It comes in and out. But really they're also insecure about just being able to call themselves a singer at all. So like maybe they're mostly on pitch, right? This is maybe for my dancers or my actors who are told that in order to get work or book a certain gig, they need to have singing, but they just feel like such an imposter that feels so overwhelming to show up at these auditions with a book full of songs, and they're competing against like singers, and they just feel like they're shrinking inside of themselves. There's something inside of them deep down that knows that this is a really important skill, and yet they feel so overwhelmed by the time it's going to take to study it, that more often than not, really the first step is just making sure that they feel confident that no matter what, they're going to hit all of the right notes. So it's like they're mostly matching pitch, but they're kind of inconsistent. They might be kind of pitchy, but it's really, you can tell that they're shrinking inside of themselves, and you don't know how to get them to feel more confident as a teacher or just as the person experiencing it. And this is something also that I've seen, is that a lot of singers will be like, okay, a lot of dancers specifically, or actors that just don't feel confident in their voice, will be like, okay, I guess I just need to get into voice lessons. But again, they're going to teachers that don't do this foundational step, right? Like if you really didn't grow up singing, you didn't learn how to do this. So they're like being rushed into doing vocal technique things, which we'll talk about here in a second. That is an important part of not being pitchy. I'm not going to say that it's not, but they go into settings where they're actually not getting fast results because they still have not created this foundation for themselves, or have found a teacher that has done that for them. And so they actually end up wasting a lot of money with teachers that, oh my God, I mean, there's a whole range of this. This drives me insane, actually. And unfortunately, on social media, sometimes I'll see dancer first, actor first, who are like, here's my singing audition. And it is so bad. And they say they've been working on their voice with their voice teacher, and it's been getting better. And I'm like, what the hell is this voice teacher doing with you? Because if you can't hit the notes to begin with in your chest voice, right, it's all over. It's just, You have to have that first, okay? So again, this is for the people that, sometimes they're pitchy, but mostly it's an identity thing, and they feel so self-conscious, and they really have to have that confidence in order to make any more improvements. So that's the other kind of person this is for. The level, I guess I broke these in levels. Level 2 is actually interesting. So these are people, and maybe if you're watching this, you might know a singer like this, but beyond like the actor and the dancer who like they have to learn this skill to get work, this kind of person like actually was born with pretty good pitch, maybe even excellent pitch. Maybe they were a musician and their brain and their ear is so good, but they are so stinking. Their ear is actually so good that they know exactly every single time when they're off pitch, and it drives them bananas. Bananas. I've had so many excellent musician students who excel in other areas. Their ear is excellent, but they get so frustrated that they can't functionally control their pitch accuracy. And I have to explain to them, like, it's a physical coordination, right? If you have not practiced embodying and getting your pitch to be consistent, you haven't memorized that physical sensation, at least in the bottom part of your voice. Of course, it's like you can't hold the form on the guitar, right? You can't hold the hand positioning. And so, yeah, it's going to be pitchy. Or same with a violin, right? Our body is the instrument, right? There's no frets, there's no keys that you can press, no fingerings and then just blowing into the instrument that's going to make it happen. You have to physically remember what the notes are and sing them accurately. It's not just your ear, it's your body and your brain, okay? So it's interesting because sometimes these people will come to me and they're actually they're like pitchy. They don't have a lot of control and they're pretty pitch accurate, but this will at least give them the repetition and like something like Pitch and Musician that has all of these exercises, and it builds upon itself to at least do the foundational like training work in chess so that they can start to be like, oh, like I am capable of singing on pitch. And oh, I guess like the tuner or the person that I'm working with is saying that I'm doing it right. Okay, maybe I can be a little bit less hard on myself, right? So that's another kind of person that doing pitch study, and like I call with these particular students, this is more of a pitch precision thing. And this takes me to the final level of people that could benefit from this is actually singers that they might be a little bit pitchy. It could fill in the gaps actually for them musically. So the other thing that Pitch and Musician does is it teaches you the basics of music theory that singers need from a singer's perspective, because sometimes you could take music theory in college, but you don't have the information that would actually help you communicate with other musicians or to learn a piece of music, at least the notes themselves, quicker. So that's another cool thing that Pitch and Musician does, is it gives an outline to teach singers what's actually useful for them to enter the world and get songs that they can learn more quickly. So the other thing I want to point out as we're wrapping up this video is the understanding that if someone is pitchy, right, and they've done, there is another step to getting your pitch under control, and that is actually studying technique, right? So, but if they can't hit the notes and match the notes at the bottom part of their voice where they talk all the time, then they absolutely 100% need to do something like Pitch and Musician. And I would say, even if you have a student that you're not quite sure if it's a technical issue or not, doing a program like Pitch and Musician as a teacher and following it step by step and just making sure that the student can do it in that container and in that environment will help to give you confidence as the teacher as well, that, hey, they're actually ready to do vocal technique, because there's just nothing worse as a teacher that you're trying everything in your control to help the student and they're just not improving and you don't know what to do, especially with pitch. So if you have tried everything, I highly recommend, especially teachers, that they check this out and use it as a curriculum for their studio, for their students. You'd be amazed how many people improve. It's incredible. If you go to the Pitch and Musician sales page that's linked below, you will see proof, a video. I've actually lectured on this specific topic, and talked about the method and the brain training that is the repetition of pitch and musician all over the world. They taught it at a World Voice Teacher Conference. So this is something that educators are starting to pick up on and use. So yeah, I don't want you to feel like you're overwhelmed and you don't know how to help your student. That's the worst, right? So having something like this will at least give you the confidence and the playbook, right? The step-by-step. So you're not feeling like lost in the wilderness here, okay? All right, I'm going to leave the video on this note. If you have a student or you are the singer and you've done something like pitch and musician or you've taken pitch and musician and you're starting to feel more confident in the notes, being like, okay, I am able to do this, right? I've gone through the ups and downs of like going through the course. Sometimes it can be a bit frustrating to do because it's like, you're training a brain and a physical coordination. And, if it doesn't happen immediately or it takes you extra time, that can definitely be frustrating. But if you stick with it and you do it over time, it will improve. I've seen it with hundreds of people, so it's possible. Then the next step, once you're able to do something like pitch and musician, would then be to make sure you do something for your vocal technique. So the final thing is, like I said earlier, pitch can be influenced by technique. And there's a plethora of reasons why an individual singer might be pitchy and might not be singing on the right pitches. Some of that is whether the vocal folds are too thick or too thin, right? If they're too thick, you'll go flat. If they're too thin, you'll go sharp. If you don't have proper chord closure and you're super airy, and again, the vocal folds are getting really thin, you'll probably be pitchy and go sharp. If you're pulling a lot of weight and there's a lot of muscle, right, you will go flat, you will get shouty. The acoustical alignment of the sound will be perceived as flat if you're not working on your vocal technique. It can be messed up from pressure imbalances and like I said, other muscles kicking in and more or less sabotaging the sound. So if that's happening to you and you're like, I'm not really sure if I need pitch and musician, I feel like I can match pitch most of the time. I'm just frustrated that some of my notes fall out during my song or during my recordings, right? You're more of a singer, you have more of a dialogue. The first thing I would have you do is look at your relationship again with your voice. So does singing really have to be so hard, right? Can singing be easy for you? Because a lot of the time, if it's muscle tension, that could be an issue. I would be curious about your relationship then with vocal balance. So the technical balance of muscle versus air in your study. Do you have a teacher that you respect, that you trust, that's actually helping you move farther in the right direction, right? If you've been with the same teacher and you still feel you're pitchy and you're not improving, that would be an indication that you probably need to do something else or find someone else that specializes in vocal balance specifically so that, again, you can work on these technical inefficiencies and become more consistently on pitch. Another thing is like, it's normal for a singer to be pitchy sometimes, right? Like sometimes we're just really tired, right? Or if you're a female presenting person or you were born female, like if you're menstruating, having thicker vocal folds happens when you're menstruating or when you get older, right? Your voice changes. So if you've found over time you've become more pitchy, sometimes that just has to do with your body changing. Again, singing is your body. Singing is the body is the instrument. So if your body changes, your instrument's going to change. So finding a teacher that you trust, that can help you with your technique and get you to a place where the sound feels easier. The most beautiful rule of thumb with singing is the easier the sound feels, the better it actually sounds. And that's the one God-given thing that we can rely on as singers. So getting someone that you trust to get the sound to feel easier is going to be a really important step. And if you're still like, I don't know, like, I feel like I want something that I can use to condition myself in that case, the vocal balance course pillars that I've created would be something that would be the next step for you. But right now, if you're concerned about pitch at all, I'm pretty sure that pitch and musician is going to be the first step for you to make sure that you are singing on pitch consistently to get it. So if you're a teacher and you have pitchy students that you don't know how to help, give them that foundation, help that brain to muscle coordination become muscle memory or pitch memory so that your student, you're not drilling the same thing over and over again and you know that has been developed. Now, I love receiving questions about this. Again, I've specialized in this for a long time. I've done a lot of research and lectured on this all over the world. And if you guys have questions about that, you're always free to email me at singerspath@gmail.com. I love to hear from you. If you also love this podcast, you can also email us, singerspath@gmail.com. You can write us a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts and take a picture of that and send it to singerspath@gmail.com. And we'll actually enter you to win a free lesson. It's the winter, so I'll probably do another drawing for a free lesson here. Anyone that's written a testimonial for, even if you decide to purchase Pitch and Musician with the discount, you could write a testimonial and be entered to win a free lesson as well. And you actually stay in the pool. You stay in the pool forever. So you could still win in the future, even if you don't win this drawing, okay? And anyone can enter to win the free lesson if you just write us a 5-star written review and send that over to singerspath@gmail.com. Again, one more reminder, the Pitch and Musician sale ends February 22nd. Use code PITCH30 at checkout to get that 30% off. I only run this once a year. So if you've heard about it before, just jump on it. Honestly, it's a no-brainer for teachers. Like, guys, I know how frustrated you are. Like, get on it. Just make it easier for yourself, okay? And it's also a no-brainer if you've always wanted to sing and you're super insecure about whether you're hitting the right notes or not. Like, this will be the solution for that. So help yourself so that you can start to feel confident in your voice and actually start to sing songs and focus on the technique element of it. You have the foundation, all right? With all of that, I really enjoyed talking to you today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. This helps me get this information out to more artists all over the world. Let's work together to spread the joys of music. Until next time, I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, signing off from the Singer's Path podcast. Thanks for listening.